This forum is sponsored and presented by the Jackson County Development Association. Tonight's forum will feature candidates seeking the offices of Judge Executive, Magistrates, County Attorney, County Clerk, and the Property Value Administrator, better known as the PVA. The Jackson County Development Association was formed in the early 1980s, primarily for the purpose of assisting Jackson County to grow, prosper, and to create a positive impact over the entire county, whether it is in the area of economic development, the education systems, government processes, or any other areas. Tonight, we are providing an opportunity for the candidates who will lead Jackson County over the next 4 years to present themselves as to why that they have chosen to seek a particular office, and to educate us, the voters, as we close in on Election Day 2014. Now, on with the rules for tonight's forum. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for introductions and an opening statement. We have a timekeeper, and time will begin when the candidates start talking. The candidates will be reminded when they have 15 seconds left to speak, and they'll be asked to stop at the 2-minute mark. After the introductions, we will ask each office one question and limit the answers to 1 minute. Again, being reminded with 15 seconds left and 1 minute to end. You, the audience, were given a document earlier of which you can ask a question on, and submit the question to this blue box over here on my left. We will ask as many of these questions as time allows. Speaking of time, we're going to conclude by 9 p.m. and we'll have a short break at about 7:50 to 8 o'clock. We ask the audience to keep unnecessary noise to a minimum. We thank you for being here. We thank PRTC for their dedication to community and for the TV time. And especially we thank the candidates and their families for the commitments that they have made. With all that said, it's time to start with the candidate introductions. And we're going to start with the County Court Clerk, Duck Moore.
Very important. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll just turn it over to these people, and you can ask the questions. But in November now, I'll be on the ballot, but I won't be in May, since I don't have an opponent. Okay, the last day to register to vote. This is important if you want to jot it down and vote in the May primary is April the 21st. That's important. After that, we can't take any more cards. Okay, and the next thing, we'll be opening a absentee machine in the clerk's office April the 23rd. And then if you're going to be out of town election day, you can come in and vote in the clerk's office. And only if you're going to be out of town, though. If you're going to be here and you want to come and vote early, you can't do that. So if you're going to be out of town, come in anytime after 23rd. I usually open it 27, 28 days before the election because we have a lot of people that work out of town. Some of them are gone a week or two, and they don't have an opportunity to come to the poll to vote. So that gives them 28 days to come and vote. So that's an important date you need to remember, jot it down. Okay, paper ballot must be received May the 13th. That's if you've got to vote in a paper ballot. We have to receive it, or you have to request it by May the 13th. You can't request one after that because that's the application has to be in our office by May the 13th. That's 7 days before the election, so it shouldn't be a problem. That gives us time to mail out the ballot, get it back in before the election. Anything comes in after 6 o'clock election day does not count. So those are important dates. I may be going a little too fast for you. Now, here's one that we hardly ever have in Jackson County because it's mainly a Republican county. Everybody knows that. But this time, the Democrats can actually make 3 votes. We've got a senator running, and then we've got a U.S. representative to the U.S. Congress running, and then we've got a district judge's race, which is nonpartisan. A Democrat can vote in that, and also Republicans vote in that. The 2 top winners then have a runoff in November. A lot of people get confused with that, but that's the way it is with a judicial nonpartisan race. Okay? Now, if you're a Democrat and you want to vote in that race, you can. You can make 1 vote. I mean, not a Democrat, an independent. If you're registered independent and you want to vote in that judge's race, you're allowed to do so. But you'll be allowed, there'll only be 1 on the ballot, and that's the judge's race. This district judge I'm talking about now, not judge executives. We got a bunch right now, don't we? But that's important, and a lot of people, we always have problems with Democrats, independents, and other party members. They get mad at the precincts because they can't vote. Well, this time they can. We've got parties, someone for every party, okay? Now, our election precinct training for the workers that works the precincts is May the 10th at 1:30. That's on a Saturday. And I'd like to invite all the candidates to come if you want to. It's left entirely up to you. But if you want to come and witness and show, then you may do it. That's May the 10th now at 1:30 on a Saturday afternoon. And some people don't care, but if you want to come, you can. It's not a problem. Okay? And, okay, we have magistrates and constables in 3 different districts. Now, a lot of times, for the people that's here and your neighbors, and when you're electioneering, people try to sneak in and vote in a different precinct. Be sure that you don't let that happen, because this is a federal election, because we've got 2, a Republican and a Democrat, running for U.S. Senate. If you get out of your district and vote, they'll probably let you vote, because we've got such a thing as filling out an oath or voter card and all that. But if you get caught, it's a felony. So vote in your district. You know where your district is. And here's one more thing I want to say, and then I'll show. Am I talking too much? Okay. Be sure that you, I forgot what I was going to say now. But anyway, vote in your district, and don't be trying to change district, because if you do, it's a federal violation. And we don't want that. We don't want nobody to get in trouble, because they have to report it. You know where you voted and all that. When we changed all these addresses and 911 went in and all that, it took a year or longer to get everybody back to where they're supposed to be. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Your P.O. box, 2/3 of the people in Jackson County gets their mail in McKee. Well, they don't live in McKee. You vote where you live, your physical address. I've had a lot of questions on that in the last 2 or 3 months. My address is McKee. Where do I vote? You vote where your physical address is. So, like I've got a sister-in-law who lives at Chestnut Flat. Her address is McKee, so she votes at Sand Gap. So that's a little confusing right there, but you have to vote where you live, not where your address is. That's all I got to say. Thank you all very much for listening, and if there's any way I can help you, any of you candidates have a question, call the office. We'll help you any way we can. That's what we're here for. And I appreciate the fact that I didn't have an opponent. It means a lot to me personally. I thought I'd throw that in. But that's all.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Now, on with the first question. And it is directed towards the judge executive candidates. And we're going to start right in the middle with Gene Gatz. The question is, if elected to your desired office, what is the most important function of that office for moving Jackson County toward being a better place to live, work, and raise our families?
Gene Gatz, the best thing, I think, is to get the people back involved in the wholesale electric system. we found a war 230 years ago to
Some
lead
of us
us.
can't hear
Can you hear me?
you. Can't hear. Close the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay. I think the main thing is to get the people back involved in the political system. Let them have a say-so and have a transparent system so everybody knows what's going on and knows why taxes may or may not be raised and know where we're at, what we owe, what we don't owe, what we need in order to progress. You hear all kinds of tales and stories, and if you don't go to the meetings, if you don't know what's going on, you don't have a clue. If you don't have a say-so, that goes totally against the Constitution. So I think that the main thing first is to get the people back involved in the court system, and they've turned it over to the politicians. I think the people need to get in. Nobody's going to look over your interests like you are. After that, then budgeting and that type of thing will take place. But I think first of all, we need to get the people involved. That's my main goal, is that the transparent system.
Okay, moving on with the judge candidates, same question to Bob Gabbard, and if you need me to repeat the question, I can do so.
Would you please?
The question is, if elected to your desired office, what is the most important function of that office for moving Jackson County toward being a better place to live, work, and raise a family?
Well, there's an awful lot of things that the judge executive can do and a lot that he cannot do. But I believe the most important thing right now is to find out where we are financially and understand that part of our problem and to try to bring in some other types of industry into Jackson County that would help our economic situation.
Okay, thank you. Shane Gabbard.
Well, I believe that the first thing that's going to have to be accomplished for our county to be successful is we've got to work together. We've had too much division. You know, government was set up a long time ago for the people and by the people. This day and time, not only at a county level, but at a state level, it's got to be for the politician and by the politician, and them standards have got to go. We've got to work together to bring jobs, which will bring economic structure into our county. Our kids need a place in our county that they can rely on. They don't have to go 2 or 3 counties away to find a job. And it's not something that gets better overnight, but it's something that takes time to work at. And the whole fiscal court and everybody elected in the county, along with all the public, have got to work together for that to happen.
Robert Lakes.
Under the present condition, I think the first thing we have to do is we have to establish where we are financially. It's like Gene said, we hear all kinds of stories, and I don't think whichever one of us and whoever wins as magistrate will not really know the situation until day one. We open up the books and we really get in there and find out what's going on. We can't do anything. All this stuff about jobs and that stuff, everybody agrees with that. I've never seen anybody get to say they didn't want to have jobs in Jackson County. But I'm 57 years old and I've heard that all my life. We've got to get the situation that's been going on for the last 3 or 4 years under control. We're going to have to get some good publicity and not bad publicity. I think I speak for most people. We're sick and tired of every time we see Jackson County on the news. It's one of 2 things. Either there's no school or there's some other scandal happening in the courthouse. So my first objective is to get the financial situation under control.
Ronnie Vaughn.
I think a good start would be with the office of judge. I noticed the most popular question out there with people is, why would you want to do this job? Well, that's a shame that that question is asked. To me, why wouldn't you people here or your family that's qualified, why would you not want to be judge? This is a very important position. you know? We need to get back, we need to change the shape of the judgeship. And, you know, financially, I agree with that. Sometimes it seems like a pencil and paper or just simple arithmetic would have corrected some of these problems that we've got today. You know, as far as industry coming in, sometimes that takes money. If we're broke, we can't even have an incentive to bring things here to the county. We got to have a facelift on what we're doing.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to get to the introductions of the candidates. We're going to start with Gordon Lakes, and remember, you've got 2 minutes for this introduction.
I'm Gordon Lakes. I was born and raised in Amble, and I've spent all of my life in Jackson County, except for a couple of years I spent in Richmond. And when my son and daughter got old enough to go to school, we moved back, and I've been at the top of Big Hill for the last 22, 23 years. Worked 7 years for Carpenter Construction on the road crew, and I've been, for the last 35 years, I've been working at Okanite in Richmond. I think I've known a little bit about the working on the roads, and I've worked with people for 35 years. You've got to talk to people, and everybody has disagreements, but if you'll talk and talk to each other, and you can usually work things out if you can. And if anybody can vote for me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
David.
I'm David Harrison. I'm 55-year-old. I'm a veteran. I've lived in the district my entire life. I'm well aware of all the roads, well aware of the condition of all the roads, and I hope people would understand the job is not about running the equipment. The job is about trying to see what we can get done down here in the physical court, maintain the roads, keep the equipment maintained, nothing to do with how good an operator you are or this or that, and having the right people in position to do the job. And I will be a full-time magistrate.
Thank you. Daniel Wright.
I'm Daniel Wright. I'm the son of the late Bruce Wright and Ethel Wright. I've lived in Jackson County all my life, born and raised here in my district, and I love Jackson County. I've been married 18 years to my wife, Christy Wright. We have 2 kids, Whitney Wright and Noah Wright, and I would like to be given the opportunity to serve as magistrate to help turn Jackson County around and to help build a brighter future for Jackson County. And if elected, I promise to treat everybody fairly and treat everybody equal, regardless of who you are or where you live. And I promise to work with all the elected officials to spend your tax dollars wisely and to quit with the waste. And I would appreciate your vote and support. Thank you.
Dale.
I'm Dale Vaughn, and I'm running for re-election to Magistrate, District 2, southern end of the county. I'm married to Selena Gay. Been married to her for 23 years. Got 2 daughters, 18-year-old and a 13-year-old. Most of you know me. I'll continue to work hard as I have in the past. We got to have togetherness in the situations we've been in. I'll continue to do what I have through the hard times and the good times. And we're going through a struggle right now financially. Everybody knows it. We're working through it, but the process is going to take a while, as some of the other candidates said. But there is a future, and it's getting better. It's getting better daily.
Dan?
I'm Dan Caldwell. I know that because I wrote it down here. This is a little different format for me. I'm used to a headset and a microphone. I moved to Jackson County in 1988. I've lived here since then. I've worked here. I've loved the people. I've come to love the county. I worked about 5 years with a cabinet company here, a local, Clark Cabinets. Done some teaching banjo and guitar around the area. A lot of folks will remember that. 1994, I started working at WWAG Radio. I've been there ever since. I'm known there as Dangerous Dan. You folks watching on the TV, don't adjust your sets. I really do look this way. This face give it a little time. It might grow on you. Grow it on me. I want to run for magistrate because I love the county. I see a lot of good things that's going on in the county. But when you're out and about talking to folks, they are not afraid to voice their concerns. They'll tell you what they see that needs to be done, that is not being done. And sometimes it pertains to the magistrate's job, and sometimes it does not. However, I believe that we have to start somewhere. Somebody needs to be the voice for these people. We need to give them something to be proud of. We need to let them know they have a right to be proud to live in Jackson County and to show the state and the world that we are not the tail end of the world. There's just things that needs to be done. And I want to be part of the new team that's coming in to help get that done. Thank you very much.
William?
My name's William Baldwin. I grew up in Atkinstown there in Greyhawk, and I live in Tyner now. My wife Brandy and I have 3 children, Nicholas, Sydney, and our new one, Ian Cooper. I've lived in District 1 my entire life, and the reason I'm running for magistrate for District 1 is because our county just needs a new direction. For too long, you know, we've been laughed at and made fun of. We need a new direction. And we need elected officials that are proactive and not reactive. We need people to get out there and work, to meet with these industry leaders and our local businesses, to work with them, to help them grow, to bring new industry into our county. There's an old saying, you know, you can't sit back and expect things to fall into your lap. You have to go out there and get them. And that's what, to me, the magistrate's job and the judge executive job, our job is to go out there and get those industries and bring them in. They're not just going to call us up one day and say, hey, we want to come to Jackson County. You've got to put business incentives and tax breaks in for those people to draw them in here to our county. We've got to promote our tourism as part of our county. There's money to be made in that. There's money to be brought to our county. That's things we have to look at. New ventures for our county to help our people grow and prosper. And for those of you that know me, I love sports. I use a lot of sports analogies. There's an old one, there's an old saying, there's a couple that I like it. If you're not winning, you're losing. Our county's been losing for too long. It's time we start winning. And you know, and change will help that take place. The last one I'll leave you with is we need playmakers in office, not excuse makers. For too long, we've had too many excuse makers. You can sit back and make excuses all night long. That doesn't change anything. You need to be out there and be proactive and work with each other here. Teamwork's a part of it. That's a big part of it. Fiscal court, the judge executive, you know, the county clerk, the PBA, it's a team down here. It's not individuals. Too long it's been individualized. I just pledge to you that I'll be one of those playmakers. I'll do my best to work for everyone, that we all benefit, not just certain people. Thank you.
Thank you. Ricky Isaacs.
My name's Rick Isaacs. I live at Sand Gap, and I know some of this little card here, it says, why did you choose to run for the office? The reason that I chose to run, and a lot of people, I don't think in the county realize this, but in order to be eligible to run for the PVA office, you have to take a 3.5-hour test given by the state. And so I decided that I wanted to go and take that test to see if I was qualified and knew enough to be, you know, to run the office. I went in November, I took the test, and still, when I took the test, I was uncertain whether or not I would run. I got lucky, I passed the test, and after passing the test, I give it some thought. And I knew that either I was the only one that had passed the test, or I was the only person from the county that had took the test. So therefore, I was the only person in the county eligible to run for the PVA office. And I thought about it, and what made me decide to run was, I said, if I do not run, then Paul Rose is going to run on a post. And I felt like that I needed to give the people in the county a choice. And that is the reason why I run. My qualifications are, I'm a land surveyor. I'm a licensed land surveyor and have been for 20 years. I've been in the land surveying business for 30 years. I've dealt with a lot of mortgage companies, banks. I deal with residential property on a daily basis. I feel like I'm extremely qualified for the office. I'm a leader, I'm not a follower. If I was in this office, I plan on setting a good example for the people and for the people outside of the county that come into this county to see that I'm going to run it in a professional manner.
Thank you. Paul.
Good evening, Jackson County. It's good to see everybody here and good to get an opportunity to talk to everybody. I have kind of a compounding problem. My day job keeps me pretty busy and I talk too much. And I'm having a hard time getting down these roads and seeing everyone, so I'm glad to have this opportunity. My name's Paul Rose. I think most of you in here know me. I've looked at a lot of familiar faces out here. I've got a history as far as working, and hopefully I've had an opportunity in my history down here to help each and every one of you. So as much as anyone, if it can be said here, I guess I'm running on my track record. I offer no surprises. I will treat you the same before the election as I will after, and 2 years hence or 2 years prior. And everyone's welcome in my office. I think me and my deputies figured up now I have about 900 hours of assessment-specific classes completed, and most of those now are national classes. They're pretty tough, and we have to run all of our work. Actually, the Revenue Cabinet adopted a national standard. So for most of the things we conduct in the office, we have to reach a international standard for assessment levels. And I'm proud to say that in my time down here, the Revenue Cabinet has not had to send field teams in here to reassess the county, and that's not the case in many of the counties in our region here. So, as far as my opponent sitting here, it looks to me like that the county has 2 good candidates for the PVA, and I much appreciate how he's conducted himself and conducted his campaign. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Bob Gabbard.
Thank you. Well, I'm Robert Gabbard, and I'm running for Judge Executive, and the reason that I am is I have been in the community, back in the community, for about 4 years now. I was born on Farmers Bridge, and I went to school in the Key here, later to Anvil, and then on to Lexington to private school, and then to California and Colorado for engineering and geology. My qualifications are that I have run businesses of pretty good sized companies very successfully for over 23 years. I have the experience in this construction business that involved negotiations, estimates, banking, payroll, performance bonds, and pretty much everything that is done in the county judge executive's office, except in a different format. In the private business, it is always a bit different than it is in a format like a county or an elective office. Nonetheless, I've made my attempt to contact and work with all the people here at the courthouse in the city. I'm a city councilman, and I've been fairly successful at everything that I've attempted here. I'm a chairman on the Trail Town, which is a very big event that is coming up for us. And I believe, if I hear right, that the governor has already pretty well told us that we're in line for that grant. Now that's significant for the county because it will be one seed that we can plant that can grow from now on. It's not the entire answer for all of our problems, but it's a good start in the right direction. And I'm working with a group of people that are second to none. There's a lot of energy in the entire county, and everyone as a board on this thing is very exciting to me. I believe Jackson County can overcome our struggle, and I have the skills, the education, and more importantly, the desire to accomplish these tasks. Thank you.
Shane.
My name is Shane Gabbard, and I'm also a lifelong resident of Jackson County. This has been where I've always been, born at Litter Box, raised there, and live in Anvil now. My wife, Misty, and our 3 children. Got good parents, got a good brother. Know a lot of good people, blessed to be the pastor of Litter Box Baptist Church. First off, I'd like to say I appreciate this opportunity to get to speak to everybody. Good crowd to come out tonight. No doubt people sitting at home and watching. I've been asked a lot why I decided to run for this office. I've got the utmost respect for every one of these guys that's sitting up here around me. I really do. I've got the utmost respect. I believe they're fine gentlemen. My decision come from a powerful decision. I waited to the very last day before I signed up to run for judge executive. Every county has problems, and nothing ever gets fixed overnight. It took the good Lord 6 days to create this earth. Not because maybe that it took him that long, but because that's how he decided to do it. It took time. And it takes time to fix problems, but problems never get solved if nobody tries. A lot of people ask me why that I wanted to get involved in this. I believe we need more good people involved in our county governments and state governments and just involved in matters countywide. That's why I got involved in this. I love this county. I think it's a good place to live. It's a good place to raise your kids, to thrive. And the main reason that I'm in this, I'm in it for a better Jackson County. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Gene.
My decision, I'm Gene Gatz, as most everyone knows, that my decision to run for this office came about in this very room at one of the fiscal court meetings. And they were imposing a tax, and I wanted to have a say-so. And I was not allowed to speak. And we fought a Revolutionary War, as I stated earlier, about 238 years ago. And in order to have a part in our government. And part of the problem is that people have backed out on their part. They've got too busy to be involved. And I would like to see the people get involved and know what's going on and not have hearsay and dissension among themselves and know what's going on and know what to help do to make it better. We need to work together, of course, but we need to know what's going on, and we need to have a voice in it. It's your money, it's your decision. You need to have a voice in it. That's my reason for being here.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Robert.
My name is Robert Lakes. I've lived in Jackson County my entire life. My father's name was Leonard Lakes. My mother's name was Pearl Lakes. I had 3 sisters and 2 brothers. One of my brothers recently passed away, John Lakes, lived in Anvil. Good guy. A lot of people may have known him. He played the banjo and he just loved life. And it was a big shock to all of us to lose him. 35 years ago, I married Connie McQueen. We've been married for 35 years. We've had 2 children, Josh Lakes and my daughter Kenny Lakes. Josh is married to Megan McQueen. I have 3 grandchildren. The 3rd one coming last week. So I feel like I've already won regardless of what happens in this election. The reason I got involved in this, I like most of you guys, I've been watching what's happening in their community for the last few years, and I'm a retired school teacher. I have a business background. I have a business degree where I took finance, economics, marketing, accounting, all the business-related topics. And then I got a master's in education where I've learned how to organize. I've learned how to conduct businesses, meetings. I've learned how to present myself in public. Marketing is going to be a big key for Jackson County if we get all the things that we say we want to do. So I think I'm well equipped to do that. Most people know me for being the coach of the girls' basketball team at Jackson County High School. I became coach in 1983. The year before I became the coach, the girls would pull out one set of bleachers and the fans would come and sit in those. And when we left in 95, we went to the state tournament for the first time in the history of Jackson County. So I'm used to starting off with nothing and building something big out of it. And I look forward to being a candidate. I hope you'll vote for me. Thank you.
Ronnie.
I'm Ronnie Vaughn. I'm running for county judge executive in the November election, running as an independent. And pleased to say that I think I know probably 99% of the people here, and that might be a good start of being county judge. Had a good life, a good work history, And I've got a short time to do this, but I'll tell you about my life and what the work I've done. I started my life on a little hillside farm where my mom was born and raised. My dad was a school bus driver. He was driving to Letterbox School, a little country school. That's where I went to school. Went on to Anvil Institute, a highly accredited school at that time. Graduated from high school, graduated from Cumberland College, got a master's degree at Union College later. I started my career of teaching. I worked some of the buildings and grounds of the school system. Most of the work I did through my work days were with buses. I was transportation director. I found that most of the duties I were doing there would be similar to that of a county judge executive. Roads, bridges, blind curves, weather, snow, storms, what have you. I also had to deal with budgets, and I had to supervise personnel. At times, I was supervising as many as 75 to 100 people. I worked well with these people, and we've got along fine. I'm good at that. You know, the county is a big employer. Supervision is a big thing in that situation. And time is about out, but I've never been big enough on myself to want to run for public office. And if I didn't think I was qualified, I wouldn't be here tonight. I think I'm as well qualified as most people can be running for this position. And I humbly ask you for your vote.
Thank you. Duck, have you thought of anything else that you might want to tell us?
Oh, no, I'm good at something. I'm good at that.
It's up to you. I'll give you a couple minutes if you'd like them.
No, I don't think so. I think it's got everything covered.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, we're extremely busy right now. I have to check the polling places and things like that. The clerk's office is one office that's separate from every other office. I pay my own workers, pay my own salary, taxpayers' dollars. All we do is collect what each tax district sets. We don't have anything to do with setting tax rates. We don't have anything to do with setting property rates, anything like that. We run ourselves, what we do. And every year since I've been clerk for 12 years, I have given the fiscal court excess fees, and a lot. And we won't even get into that. But we've run a good office, and we try to help people every way we can. We all can do so much. And if we can help, we're there for you. And I feel like the office is up. It's one of the most, you can ask any clerk in the state of Kentucky, and our office is probably one of the most modern, updated offices in the state. The people that's been in there, that does title searches and things like that, you don't even have to pull those big heavy books anymore. All you gotta do is punch in the name, it'll print out the deed. So we have come a long ways. I've gotten a grant every year that I've been clerk for 12 years. I've gotten a grant, and that saves fiscal court money. And our office is self-supported, so we don't have to, we're not involved in all this other stuff. So I'm proud of the fact that we do that, and I'm proud of the fact that we always give a large sum of money. In fact, the last time, every year what's left in fiscal court's budget, or bank account goes to fiscal court. That's the law, we have to do that. December 31st, our fiscal year ends. What are you doing, flagging me here, man? And we gave them $50-some thousand, like $55,000. In a small county like this, to save that county taxpayers' money, that's money that you pay us, but it goes back in your pocket. Cut me off, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Doug. This question goes to the magistrates, and it is the exact same question that we asked the judge candidates earlier, and we'll start with William Baldwin. If elected, William, to your desired office, what is the most important function of that office for moving Jackson County toward a better place to live, work, and raise a family?
I think the most important thing is getting the magistrates and the judge executive to work together and not just sit down here in the courthouse waiting for things to happen. It's to get out and meet with our state and national leaders, our local businesses, such as Jackson Energy, PRTC, Phoenix Products, BAE Systems, to try to see how we can help them grow and employ more of our residents in the county. That's the biggest function of the fiscal court and the magistrates, in my opinion. Roads and stuff, that comes secondary, but if you don't have a tax base, then you can't do nothing with your roads and stuff. There's no money there to do that. So if we're not growing our businesses and we're not trying to bring industries here to our county, then, we're doing a disservice to our residents, and as elected officials, you're here to represent everybody in this county, not just your district. Your district's a priority, but you're here to represent everybody. Like I said before, you can't expect things just fall in your lap. You've got to go out there and get them, and that's what the fiscal court's responsibility is.
Thank you. Daniel Wright.
The most important part is actually working with the fiscal court, with all the other elected officials, working together to spend the tax dollars wisely, like I said before. And just to be fair and honest and be trustworthy with the county tax dollars. I pledge to do that as magistrate.
Thank you. Dale Vaughn.
Well, I'd like to see in the future, it takes teamwork to get this done. Every department has to be willing. I'd like to see a monthly financial statement from every department that's affiliated with the fiscal court, so we can stay on top of those things and not let it get completely out of hand. A lot of times, as a fiscal court member, you'll have problems dumped in your lap. And as one officer, you kind of expect other officials to take care of their office, what they're elected to do. And when that don't happen, there's a lot that's dumped on you. And that can get out of hand. And I'd like to see something implemented, and I'm going to make a motion to have court meetings in the evening to get people more involved, and monthly financial statements from every department that affiliates with the fiscal court.
Thank you. Dan.
Could you repeat the question?
The question is, if elected to your desired office of magistrate, what is the most important function of that office for moving Jackson County toward being a better place to live, work, and raise a family?
I feel like that the most important function is for us fiscal court to work together as a fiscal court, as friends, to look around and find ways of bringing jobs to the county. When you're out and about and you ask people, they say, what do you think a magistrate does? The first thing they say is roads. Sometimes they say water. I think that is the fundamental thing that a magistrate should look to, either to improve existing roads, possibly build new roads, maintain the roads that are there. Water is also important because you cannot get jobs to come to the county if there's no roads in and out of the county. You have to look at our tax base. I think we're taxed to death already, but I'm not against the tax, but spend it wisely.
Thank you. David Harrison.
Well, change everyone's talking about. My district, you're traveling south on 421. I'm pretty sure we're the first place you see. I think that ought to be addressed a little bit more so you do know where you're coming into the county instead of just driving by it. There are people in the county in my district that don't have water still. Like you said, that's something that if we could help them with, definitely needs addressed. The roads up there, you can get around on them, but they are some that need blacktop. But the most important thing to move this county forward is get everyone sitting here together, work with the fiscal court. But as far as my district goes, I do feel we've been countywide the second-rate place ever since I've been up there. That's my lifetime, so I'd like to see that change.
Thank you. Gordon.
Everybody's well aware of all the problems we've had over the last 3 or 4 years in the county. We need to get those problems settled behind us where we can move forward. The fiscal court can work on the things that we need to be working on. I come into this a appointed in the middle of the term, and I always thought I could sit at home in my chair and I could solve all kinds of problems. But when I got actually doing it, I found out it's a complete different story when you're making decisions that affects everybody in the county. We need jobs, but jobs this day and time are very hard to come by. All communities are in the same predicament. They've let most of our jobs leave the country, and getting jobs to come in is very hard for any community to do. We need those. Our equipment is old, but you just have so much money, and you can't spend more than you take in. If you spend more than you take in, we're where we're at right now, and it don't work. Thank you.
Thank you. The question remains the same, but it is now directed towards the PVA office. And Rick, we'll start with you. If elected to your desired office, what is the most important function of that office for moving Jackson County toward being a better place to live, work, and raise a family?
I think one of the important things is that we update the maps in the PVA office and have some little more detailed information on the assessment cards. That makes it easier for appraisers coming into this area to do appraisals and get comps on anything where somebody's purchasing a new home, refinancing or whatever. And it also helps the surveyor. The better the records are in the PVA office, we're required by law when we do a survey to get all the adjoining property owners. If we can, get everything as accurate as we can in that office, then that helps anybody that comes to that office seeking some sort of information, which speeds up the process and makes it easier.
Paul?
Bad as it is, you better hit me with that question again.
If elected to your desired office, what is the most important function of that office for moving Jackson County forward in being a better place to live, work, and raise a family?
Fair and equitable assessment. Keep my numbers, my ratios within the criteria set by the Revenue Cabinet and the national standards also. As Kentucky concocts its tax system, the PVA is kind of the front end of it. It moves through the clerk's office, then to the sheriff, then back to the clerk. We've had a difficult time down here the last 2 tax seasons, and I've tried to maintain my office, keep on the tax calendar, and do the best that when people came to town, that they would have someone they could trust as far as to discuss their tax situation with. And I forgot to mention, I'd be very remiss if I didn't. I've got a huge vested interest in Jackson County going forward. One of them's sitting right over there reading the book. Thanks, folks.
Okay, we're moving back to the judge executives with this question. And we'll start with you, Ronnie. You are asking the citizens of Jackson County to place you in the highest governmental office in our county. This office is expected to provide leadership and guidance for the county and our citizens. As the CEO of Jackson County, give us some insight into your leadership style and skills. Also, where do you plan to lead us over the next 4 years?
First of all, I think I'm good at knowing what I don't know. And I'm depending on these people here tonight, people watching us tonight, to help me through this. I think I've got enough education and integrity to do the job. It's a big job. But I see the surrounding counties are doing right well. I think maybe in some cases we could take advice from some of them. Won't be wrong with that. If you look around, most of them are doing pretty good. But I think I have the education and the integrity to do this job. I worked a lot of years in the school system, and I handle this well. I deal with people well. I know the roads, I know Jackson County, and I think that'll be my plus in this election. I think that'll be my plus when I'm judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Gabbard.
Excuse me a moment. Well, as I said a while ago, I have over 23 years of experience in the construction industry, a very competitive construction industry. And I founded that company on my own, and I led by example. And I have all the confidence in the world in the people that work for me, because I think that I picked the best people to do the job that they are better suited to do than I am. And in most cases, that was not an easy task to do, but it worked out well for me, and I think that would be the best way to approach this job here. There's certain things that we can do as a judge, and largely the responsibility and the leadership comes from that office. And if we don't use that office as a good example of how we can make it work, then it will fail. Thank you.
Shane?
Well, the responsibility of being judge executive of this county is going to require somebody that not only is a good leader, but is a good listener. In other words, you've got to know what's going on, not just in one certain area, but you have to know what's going on all around you. And you've got to not only be able to say, I know what's right, but you've got to take advice too, not just from leaders, but from the general public. I don't know, and I think that the rest of these guys will tell you the same thing. We have no idea what we're going to be able to do in Jackson County. None of us knows the future. We all have plans and ideas that we'd like to do, but all we can do is take it a day at a time, use what we've got wisely, don't overspend ourselves, set a good solid budget, listen to the voices and opinions of every person, and move one step at a time. And I believe Jackson County will be an ideal place to set up a new standard for local government.
Gene?
Would you please repeat that again for me, please?
You are asking the citizens of Jackson County to place you in the highest governmental office that is in our county. This office is expected to provide leadership and guidance for the county and our citizens. As the CEO of Jackson County, give us some insight into your leadership style and your leadership skills. Also, where is it that you plan to lead our county over the next 4 years?
Okay. I've volunteered my time to this county for about 9 years and to Laurel County for about 20 before that. And I'm a hands-on person. I'm a working person. I believe in listening to the other person, though, because even the fool has a good idea sometimes. And you need to listen to the people around you. And if you've got somebody doing a job, they can probably figure out what needs done easier than you can if you're trying to work on it. But where do I want to take that to? I want to get the people involved. I want to move the fiscal court meetings to the nights. I want to get the people involved in and have a good relationship with the people and have a productive county and give tax breaks maybe and encourage business.
Thank you. Robert?
Okay, I believe the main part of that question about the leadership style. As I said, I've coached for over 25 years in Jackson County High School. Been probably successful at it. I've learned as a coach to be organized. I learned to, as they've all said, ask for advice from other people. But sooner or later, you have to make a decision. And I joke around with people that know me about I never lost a ball game in my life sitting in the stands. I'm 1,000. And I'd have won the national championship game the other night if Calipari told me what to do. If I told him what to do, he'd done it. That's nature. But when you're down there and you have to make a decision, you have to be able to make a decision. You have to be able to live with that decision, and you have to be able to stand up. And I think that's what we need right now. All this stuff we're talking about working together, that's true, but someone's going to have to make some decisions. And I've proven in the past that I can do that.
Okay, thank you. This next question is directed to the PVA office. And Paul, we'll start with you this time.
Thanks.
Some of our greatest achievements begin with a good plan that's put together by a citizen task force. What do you consider to be Jackson County's 2 greatest opportunities that could be pursued through such a task force?
Well, I'm not sure, like Gene and Bob, I've worked for going on 2 decades with various regional tourism organizations. I'm on the board of the Redbud Ride. I'm on the Jackson County Tourism Committee. I'm on the board of directors of the Sheltoy Trace Association. So I've always sought within this region to promote any tourist dollars we could get in the county. If you volunteer in Jackson County, it becomes pretty apparent that they will work you to death. And, you know, I see a knowing smile here out in the crowd, and one of the things I've noticed is that it seems about 3 dozen people volunteer for everything in the county and keep it going. I'd like to broaden that volunteer base too, but yeah, those committees could definitely, they're effective.
Thank you. Rick Isaacs.
Repeat the question, please.
The question is, some of our greatest achievements begin with a good plan that is put together by a citizen task force. What do you consider to be Jackson County's 2 greatest opportunities that could be pursued through such a task force?
I agree with Paul on one of the things being the tourism. I mean, Jackson County has a lot of natural beauty, and I think, you know, that's definitely an asset to the county. Another thing that I think needs to be looked at more than it actually is the farming industry in the county. I'm a part-time farmer. I enjoy farming. You can't really make a living in Jackson County farming. But we do have a lot of people in the county that farm, some full-time, mostly part-time. But I do think that we need to pursue some things with the farm people to see if there's more options that we have as far as helping the county agricultural-wise.
Thank you. This next question is directed towards the office of Magistrate. David, I believe we'll start with you this time. What do you consider to be the 2 biggest problems in Jackson County today that should be addressed by county government?
That's a hard question. Everybody's sitting there talking about tourism, you're talking about that, you're talking about this. The biggest thing that I see is basically what we're doing right here. People's gonna have to sit down with some authority and talk and decide what has to be done with this county. And somebody knowing what to do and what direction to take this county in. That's number 1 priority for every which way this whole election goes. So that's the number 1 thing. And then, of course, our roads are gonna have to be maintained. With roads come industry. That's just common, that's what built America. And I think that's where we're at.
Okay, thanks. Gordon.
You repeat that one?
The question is, what do you consider to be the 2 biggest problems in Jackson County today that should be addressed by county government?
We need to get our financial affairs in order. That's the first thing I think we need to do. You need to get that, all the problems we got going settled, get their financials back on the right track. I think we're going in the right direction. We've got a long way to go, and nothing's going to get, like they say, nothing's going to get fixed overnight. It takes time, it takes money, and the money it's hard to come by. You can't raise taxes, people are taxed to death already. We need lots of things. Our roads this winter has been a terrible winter. Took a toll on all of our roads, all of our equipment, and it's hard right now. But we need to get our financial affairs in order and get back on the right track. And I believe with everybody working together, we can make this county a lot better than what it is and something to be proud of in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Caldwell.
Yes, sir. I think two of the biggest problems is, of course, finances. I think we need to take a really hard look at, when we get there, what do we have to work with? I think we can improve those without any new taxes. I think that the other hardest thing the biggest problem we have is regaining the trust, earning the trust of our people. You have a people who are so oppressed that they have come to the point where they don't trust elections anymore. I think that is a problem we need to overcome. We need to show these people that we are trustworthy.
Daniel Wright.
Well, naturally, the number one thing is our financial situation, as everybody's aware of. And probably drugs would be probably the second biggest problem we've got. I know that doesn't really fall under the magistrate, but that answers your question. And hopefully we can all work together to work on both of those problems and resolve both of them.
William.
I agree with everybody else that's mentioned finances. That's the biggest thing, and there's a lot of ways. I mean, you got to account for every dollar that's coming in, and you got to use it in a way that it benefits the citizens of the county. You got to be physically responsible. That's a fiscal court and a magistrate's job. And a lot of times the magistrate, you just can't be a yes man and vote what the judge tells you to vote for. You need to read those reports yourself and make an informed decision based on your people in your district and the county. And the second thing is probably the lack of jobs and opportunities for our citizens. Like I said before, the magistrate's job and the fiscal court job, it's to go out and meet with these state leaders. We've got Marie Rader, who's one of our representatives in our backyard, that nobody wants to work with for some reason. They don't want to try to help get her involved in things. You've got Albert Robertson, 20 minutes down the road from us, and people don't want to work with them. You've got to work with those people that can bring jobs into this county. You have to do it. There's no other answer for that. If you don't involve those national leaders and these local businesses like Jackson Energy, that when people retire, they've got to replace those jobs. And you have to, that's a physical court's responsibility to involve the community. Thank you.
Dale.
Well, I'd say jobs. If you had a lot of work, there would be no financial issues, I would think. But you can't have a my way or the highway attitude whenever you work for the public. You got to listen. You got to give. You got to take. And we've been lacking that. Some of the officials have been butting heads. That's just one of those things that happens, you know. And we got to get past that. We got to work on our budget, and you know, we got cut coal severance money. As everybody knows, the coal industry, it's fizzling away. We're going to have to face that in the future, because I look for coal to be completely gone, and we're still receiving about $150,000 a year. And who knows, a couple of years from now, we're going to have to wean ourselves off of that, because that reduction is going to leave. Thank you.
Okay. We're going back to the judge candidates with this question. Bob, we'll start on your end this time.
Could we turn the air conditioner off? It's freezing up here.
We'll get on that.
All right, thank you.
And we thought we had you in the hot seat.
Yeah.
The judge executive's office is often viewed as the place to get things done. At the end of 2018, what is it that we can say? We got her done. Bob.
Well, that's a great question. There's a lot of things that I could say. I think, again, the most important thing by the end of that term that we should be able to say without a doubt, we're back in the black again, and we're on the road to recovery, and maybe set an example for other counties in our region to show them how we can do that. The one thing that I would like to do is revisit the possibility of a lake, this time not for water, but for water, recreation, and hydroelectric power. I think the time has come for that. As everyone knows, we're out of coal. We're not out of it, but we're going to fight with the EPA forever. And I believe the time might be right to revisit that. Kentucky, and particularly this part of the Appalachian, has a second to none potential for hydroelectric power.
Thank you. Shane, under your leadership, what is it that we can say we got her done?
Well, I've worked for my dad for the last 19 years. He started his own business in 1995. And I know what it's like to work for yourself. And we have a lot of people in this county that work for themselves and depend on their business and that's their way of life. Now, as you say, the judge's office has always been looked at as a place where you can get things done. I agree with what these guys are saying. Right now, we're not just the only county that's struggling financially. Our whole nation is struggling financially. If you look at it in a common sense way, you don't build a $500,000 house if you make $5 an hour. You got to learn how to do things. First thing we got to do, and the thing that I'd like to see us get accomplished with whomever is judge executive, is get us up out of the red and our heads above water. And I believe we can do that if we work together.
Gene.
Well, it's going to be a struggle, and like he said, the whole country is in financial distress, everywhere you look. Agenda 21 that they signed here a few years ago has really put us down. It's the basics of it, I think, is to pour down this country. And with all the manufacturing going out of the country, and I said this 10 years ago, I said people are going to start, the counties are going to start digging in their pockets for money that's not theirs, and where's their money at? And of course, with all the manufacturing going, you lose that. And we need to do everything we can. We need to really push on these congressmen to change that and try to bring manufacturing back to this country. And then we can run in the black. We'll have to watch our P's and Q's, but we can do it.
Robert Lakes.
Well, I would hope that in 4 years we can pay our bills on time. Not have any stories of county employees going around saying that their insurance hadn't been paid, payroll tax hadn't been paid, all the rumors we've all heard. I would hope that that's a thing of the past. I would hope by the end of the first term that we've shown the people that it's possible to put some people together in these offices who can get along and agree to disagree from time to time. That's what makes a good debate. But I think that Jackson County needs to take a good long look in the mirror, face facts where we're at, and we need to start looking at our resources that we have and start emphasizing those and make them a positive instead of a negative. I have some ideas on those. Thank you.
Thank you. Ronnie Vaughn.
I promise not to put tax on for any mistake I make. I can't get over that. County employees being penalized for mistakes that other people have made. And the judge's office, I'm narrowing down to that. I would hope, that 4 years, we've got our lake committee back, people very interested in the lake. I'm a farmer, I love it. I'd like to see more done for farmers. When we talk about our industry, that's a big industry in Jackson County, farming. Maybe a small livestock market, beef packing house, and our wealth is in the national forest, work closely with these people and see what we can do. There is some revenue comes from Forest Service. Work a little closer, see if we can come up with a better idea of more market than that would come to Jackson County.
Thank you. Back to the office of PVA.
This bouncing around stuff's hard on me. You know that, don't you?
Not meaning to make it hard on you, Paul. Paul, how would you define the role of property value administrator within county government?
Well, we're not a member of fiscal court. We're an office of the Kentucky Revenue Cabinet. And pretty much the Revenue Cabinet directs that what we're concerned with is the assessment of the county and then presenting that after certification to the clerk and to the districts in question so that they may set their tax rates. And it is an office that it doesn't have a reach to achieve a lot of these goals we'd like to do in Jackson County. It's just one that needs to be run properly. You know, we've tried to do that, and we've tried our best to work with all the local districts, the officials, and the state also.
Rick,
Repeat the question.
the question is, how do you define the role of the PVA within county government?
I think the office is a detail-oriented office because, you know, the assessment of people's property determines how much taxes they're going to pay. So I think that it's critical that the assessments be detailed and fair. And like I said, a lot of the tax money that comes from the county, to the county, from the property taxes, you know, is determined by that office. And therefore, like I said, I think it's an office that requires a lot of detail in order to be ran the way that it should be run. It should be a detail-oriented office.
Okay. Back to the judge executives, and we'll start with Robert Lakes. Do you think that Jackson County needs both a police department and a county sheriff's office in order to serve the people of Jackson County? If so, how do you fund both offices? If not, what would you do to see some resolution to that?
First part of your question, the answer is no, we don't need to. Whoever's elected as sheriff, in my opinion, we elect them, they do their job. If they don't do the job we want them to do, we vote them out. If they do anything illegal, turn it over to the Tommy Hayes or whoever the person is in that position. It becomes a criminal offense. But that's one of the things that I feel like that the county started really going down when that happened. It makes no sense at all to me in a situation when we're talking about us being broke and us trying to run 2 police departments. I have had no one give me a logical answer to why we have that. So the answer, first part of the answer, no, I don't think we should have 2 sheriff's departments or police forces. And I will let the sheriff be the sheriff.
Ronnie Vaughn.
I think that I could work with whoever the sheriff will be, and hopefully we'll get off to a good start with that. Hopefully we'll be in better shape in county government to help the sheriff's department as much as we can. They're a needed thing, and I find that in a lot of departments of county government, it seems like that they're struggling. We had a medical emergency here tonight. We had one on New 30 at the same time. We had one on Big Hill. Could we handle that with the ambulance service we've got We've got good people working there, and I know most of them, but we need to support them also. And I've got many priorities: fire department, ambulances, and want to be as much help as I can to this sheriff's department.
Thank you. Bob Gabbard.
And this is about the sheriff's department.
Do you think that Jackson County needs both a county police department and a county sheriff's office in order to serve the people of Jackson County? If so, how would you fund both offices? And if not, what would you do to see some resolution?
Well, the first thing I would do, the quick answer is we cannot afford two departments. That's a given. And I don't think that the county was set up that way constitutionally, although it provides for a means to do what was done under those circumstances. I would suggest to the fiscal court as judge that we reinstate the sheriff with his authority and the deputies that he has.
Thank you. Shane.
I believe that, I thought I was running for sheriff. What am I running for? I don't think that we need two police forces. I believe that public safety is a concern towards everybody. I believe that we need to let the sheriff be the sheriff, and I hope that they have enough responsibility to take care of their money-wise of their department. And you know, you have to do what you have to do to resolve a situation. A lot of times it involves matters that you might not consider you'd like to take into your own hands. But you got to look not just for the person, but you got to work for the people. And I believe that ambulances, fire departments, safety is a big concern in our county. And it's something that we have to make sure we're funded and funded correctly. And hopefully we'll have a sheriff that will do that, and we can take care of it together.
Thank you. Gene.
Well, the first thing I would do is give the sheriff back his job. That's what the sheriff's elected to do. We can't. Like you said, there is provision for creating a county police force, but you have to form a board, and you have to have some people from the community and things on that board. I'm not sure that was done correctly, but that shouldn't have been done at the beginning. If the sheriff has a problem, they need to address that and work that out. We cannot stand. It caused a lot of confusion too. People tried to call the sheriff's department, and he's out on a call or something. There's nobody there to monitor it. It's created problems.
Thank you. Back to the office of PVA. This question was asked earlier, I think, of the magistrates. What do you consider to be the two biggest problems in Jackson County today that should be addressed by county government? Rick.
I think the biggest problem overall is the lack of confidence the people of the county have in the local government. I've been out talking to a lot of people, and that comes up more than anything else, is the people of the county don't have any confidence in the local government anymore. And of course that needs to change, and we're hoping that after this election, there will be some changes made for the better. The second thing, I guess, would be, I don't know, I'm trying to think. I can't think of the second part that I was going to answer. To be honest with you, I got carried away on the first one.
Okay. Paul.
You know, I don't really know what the PVA office has to offer this, but the biggest problem Jackson County faces is jobs, employment. For my kids and for Mr. Isaacs' kids here and for all of us sitting in this room. It's an ongoing thing. And you know, as we develop a new fiscal court and elect a new judge, and I hope that we will seek all venues that we can to increase the employment. The second biggest problem, and it looms, is this onslaught of negative publicity we've had to deal with here recently. You know, it reflects so poorly on the county when I look at the people. We've got real quality people in this county. I'd love to see some positive news about Jackson County.
Folks, we're going to take about a 10 or 15-minute break, and then we're going to come back and ask some of the questions out of the box that you have presented. And during this break, if you would like to put questions in the box, please feel free to. About 15 minutes. Thank you.
So they changed mine around, said it looked like a boy camp.
Looks like we have everybody back in their seats. We will begin with a question for the judge candidates, starting with Bob Gabbard. How could you, as judge executive on your own, with no help from any other elected offices, get jobs and industry in Jackson County?
Okay, the first thing I would do is to try to market our county. Now, this is not with another elected office, but I would try to market our county just as though you would any other product that you're selling. We have an awesome county here that has a lot of natural resources, and we need to pursue those as far as we can take them. The other thing I would do would be to try to attract people in the IT business or some small manufacturing, injection molding, things of that nature, but I would really focus on tourism.
Okay, thanks. Shane?
Well, if it's out there, you've got to go after it. And, you know, we've got some buildings here in our county that is able that is well able to have job placement put in it. Now, that's the mentality of why that you don't have things, is everybody's waiting on everybody else to do it. But if you're elected as judge executive, then you've got to go out after it. Take, for example, you've got a man or some company that's interested in a building that's in Jackson County, and they tell you that they can start by employing 25 people in that building. What you have to do is you've got to accommodate that company. If they can guarantee you 25 jobs for a year, give them a tax break. Let them have 2 or 3 months free rent. Let them get themselves established so they can hire people out of our county. You've got to help them and show them that you're interested in them working in your county, and let people in your county work in your county.
Gene?
Well, the best way, as I've said before, is by offering tax incentives to business. And you need to find what businesses are out there through magazines and publications and city governments or whatever means you can. But you need to, we have to encourage them to come here and offer them tax breaks to begin with, 5 years or so anyway, in order to really make it worth their while to come here and set up and do that. And I work in manufacturing somewhat, and and as well as Tom back here does, and you have to, Tom's probably here in the county because of that very reason, is tax incentives and building opportunities and things.
Robert?
Well, unfortunately, there's no jobs across this country right now, in case people's been watching. And you can't just get on the phone and call somebody and say, come over and put a factory in Jackson County. So I think we should emphasize what we've got. PRTC has got the capability to do a lot of stuff through technology. I've talked to Mr. Gabbard about this. I think that's a route we should go. I think we should actively recruit, as Bob said, we've got to market Jackson County. Tourism is probably the direction we need to go in, but I think that we need something besides just a trail. We have to have something to draw people into the county. I would approach some of the bigger companies out there in the United States who are really environmental friendly and point out to them that they want Jackson County to keep the Daniel Boone Forest for the rest of the world to come and see. They need to come in here and help us with some jobs on those routes. So we've got to think outside the box. We've got to go for whatever we can, but I would start with that.
Ronnie Vaughn?
Well, I would first want to try to help the businesses we already have. And we have a great number of employers, even though that we need jobs. We all know that. We need to dwell on job training. We need to work closely with the school system, see what jobs there are, even if they're not in Jackson County. But keep working with a dream of that we're going to have a good job for people in Jackson County. I think a lot of times we generalize. I've not been talking loud enough on the kind of speaker, I'm sorry. Sometimes we generalize in Jackson County about jobs. It seems to me that it would be practical to do a survey of what jobs are wanted and who needs the jobs and how many people we've got working outside the county that's been working for years. They're going to stay there and see what the job possibilities are and break it down into categories so that we could better help our young people, especially through vocational training and the schools.
Okay, this next question is directed back to you guys again, and this time I'm going to ask you to be more specific. Some of you referred to this in your last answer, but be more specific this time. In attracting jobs to Jackson County, being specific, what kind of incentives could you offer as county judge? Bob Gabbard.
All right, first thing, we have the authority to use a tax incentive. We can do that, I believe, up to about 7 years. That would be one thing. And as Shane pointed out, we have some buildings here, some infrastructure here that's already existing that's not being utilized very well. We could offer those as another incentive to come in. There are few jobs that require little or no infrastructure, so we have to think about what infrastructure we have here and accommodate those people immediately with that. And again, I'll refer back to information technology is a big thing. It requires little or no infrastructure, and we already have one of the best ones here to accommodate that.
Repeat that, Mr. Christmas, if you would.
Being specific on offering incentives for people to locate companies and bring jobs to Jackson County, what incentives would you be prepared to offer job placement in Jackson County?
Well, you got to make things doable. It's sort of like going after, say I've got a car for sale. I'm not going to take this car out here and drive it through Horse Lick and get it muddy before I sell it. I've got to clean it up and make it presentable. We've got a road now that's come into our county out of Law County that is a major improvement to our county. And That way, we've got a way for truck traffic to get in here. You've got to show these companies that you've got a way for truck traffic to get in here. And you've got to present your business in a way to where they know that they'd be able to operate. You can't go to them and say, I'm gonna tax you to death. You've got to give them tax breaks to get started. You can't go to them and ask ridiculous amounts of rent, because if you've ever run your own business, and there's a lot of people here tonight that run their own business and work for themselves, you've got a lot of overhead, and you can't put more overhead on these people than what they've got. Don't show the people there about the Baptist Church that little red flag, because when she throws it up, I've got to shut up, and they don't need that. So, in other words, to make a long story short, you can't put more on the working man than what he's already got.
Gene?
Goodness. Be specific, huh, on how we're gonna do that. Could you repeat that again? That's kind of dwelling on my mind. Would you repeat that question?
The question is, and I'll read the entire question. Over the past 8 years, we've lost a lot of jobs in Jackson County. What incentives would you give to cause factories to bring jobs to Jackson County?
Well, as I've said before, tax incentives would be the best thing to start with. Any business has trouble making a profit in this day and age. And if you give them a tax incentive right on, I think, would be a tremendous thing, because you're not going to lose anything. If you get a business in here that hires people, then it's a win-win situation. They make more money, they'll hire more people, you get the tax from the workers. There's no way you can lose there. If you don't have anything to start with, like we don't here anyway.
Robert?
I'd imagine that other communities would offer tax incentives as well. I think it'd be a given that we'd offer a tax incentive to anybody who come here with a business. But I'd also point out to them the new Road 30 that we have on that end of the county. Hopefully we can get 421 going in the other direction. I think we need to bring the school system in on it, education. If a person is interested in locating in the community, they want to know about the school system, what kind of employee can they depend on getting. A lot of this is going to depend on what kind of business that we're talking about. I've already alluded or talked about what PRTC has, but I also would work with, point out the Jackson Energy connection we have here, and I'd emphasize some of the businesses that we have here in the county.
Ronnie?
I want to make us look better first. You know, if people come through our county, you go in a grocery store or wherever, they see our newspapers, we have some pretty disgusting news there. Maybe we can't change that. It's going to be there anyway, but maybe as being county judge and the county supporting it, we could work on some positive news. Once in a while we have good things happen and we don't notice it. We have new roads once in a while, you know, and maybe if we had a few passing lanes in this county, people coming through here wanting to locate here, they didn't have to follow the same vehicle all the way to the county, through the county. Maybe that would be a good thing. They could pass on a hill once in a while, and just the little things, and then, you know, we would have to explore what we could afford. Like I said before, you know, sometimes you need money to make money. If you're broke, incentives would be a problem. We've got to come up with an option doing that way.
Thank you. Daniel, I'm going to start over here with this question with you, and this question is for everybody. And I'm going to ask you to explain your answer. Would you support or oppose Jackson County being a wet county?
No, I would not. And why? Because I don't believe in it. I mean, I know people does it, but no good can come from alcohol. So I would vote no.
Thank you. Dale?
No, I wouldn't support it. I have a family. I know what it does to families. I've seen, it's been in my family. I've had family members die from it. It would bring revenue, I'm sure, but there's other ways. Just because everybody else is doing it don't mean that we need to. I just don't believe in it, and I will not support it.
Thank you. Dan Caldwell?
On the outside, I would probably have to say I would support the county going that. And the reason, first of all, it would have to be a countywide vote, I know that. But the reason is I have been on both sides of this thing. Ms. House and I were just talking about this a few minutes ago. I used to drink a lot. When you drink a lot, you get in bad shape. When you get in bad shape, you want to drink a lot. If it's not available, you will drive to wherever you need to go to get it. When you get it, you'll drink it. You'll be on the highway drinking and driving. If it's close to home, with a little bit of education, social drinking, teaching the kids what it is, because they're going to drink it anyway, they have a tendency to do so. So you'll be taught how to drink responsibly. So I would support having available to keep them off the highways. That's me.
William?
I would not support it. I don't see the benefit of it being, the revenue coming in. You've got one Mexican restaurant here that can seat people. I just don't see where one restaurant could generate enough revenue for alcohol sales to be a legitimate form of income for the county. So no, I would not support it.
Paul Rose?
Well, I'm ambivalent about it. My take on it, I think I probably would support it because historically in this county and here in eastern Kentucky, we've always had bootleggers. I have never seen a bootlegger ask for a driver's license and the age on it. I would argue in my experience that alcohol is more restricted where it's legal than when it's illegal. And these bootleggers in these communities nowadays, along with the alcohol, they might have a prescription pill or meth or heroin or anything else. And another thing, what revenue would be available off of that is steadily encroaching to our county lines. And I feel it won't be long if there is a liquor store at the Laurel Jackson County line or Clay Jackson County line or Owsley Jackson County line, we're losing revenue that would help the county.
Thank you. Rick Isaacs?
I would vote no. I can see both sides of it, but the reasons that I'd vote no is I've lived here for 53 years and we've not had it, and we've got along without it, and I think it brings temptation closer to home by doing it, and I would also vote no because of my religious beliefs.
David?
Part of it in this county definitely goes back to people's religious beliefs, but the fact of the matter is, everybody knows the county's got a drug problem. You can't go down to the Rite Aid store and buy your drugs, but yet they're readily available. Anyone with the money, there's no reason not to make this county wet. You're losing revenue, people's living their lives, driving to Richmond, driving to Clay County, wherever it is you gotta go. It's the way people around this county believe. You people's talking about a change. That's exactly what needs to happen. That is definitely one of them. It won't stop people whether you got it or don't got it.
Gordon?
I would probably support it, but I can't see that it would bring in that much revenue into the county, because now all the counties surrounding us besides Lee County are either totally wet or moist. The people in the edges of the county, the southern part of the county, they'll go to Manchester. Northern end of the county, it's closer to Richmond, they would probably be maybe 1-2 liquor stores at the most that this smaller county would get. And a lot of the people would go out of the county anyway, so I don't know it would bring that much revenue in. What little revenue it would help, but like everyone says, people that's going to drink are going to go somewhere to get it. And it's like Paul said, bootleggers, I've been to a lot of bootleggers when I was younger, and they never asked me anything. They just wanted the money and handed me whatever I wanted. So if you ID them, at least your age, people's age is buying the liquor.
Ronnie Vaughn.
First of all, I'm a non-drinker. I don't know what whiskey tastes like, what beer tastes like. But I don't feel like that if I were judge executive, that I'd be making this decision on this. I think it probably would originate from a petition by the people, or something like this. If I were judge, I'd be willing to take a drug test, alcohol test, and the people in my office would be asked to do the same thing. But to say sporting or not sporting, most people know my life, and they probably know what I was sport after I get to be judge. I think this is a little premature since the judge's office does not make that decision.
Robert Lakes.
Seems like I change my mind on this every time I think about it. Physically or financially, it makes sense. I think we've missed an opportunity of waiting as long as we have when the other counties have already gone wet, or as Gordon says, they've gone moist. So the benefit may not be as much as it would have been if we'd gone earlier. We keep talking about tourism, and let's face it, tourism is people away from here. And I don't see many people want to load up and drive from Indiana or Tennessee or Ohio, somewhere down here, and not be able to drink. I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot by doing that. I can see both arguments on that, and as Ronnie says, it would not be up to us anyhow. Personally, I would say no, but if I sit in the judge's seat and people's looking to me to get this budget balanced and us provide the services that we want, then I think we should do it.
Thank you. Gene.
It's a hot subject. I guess I would probably support it, although I'm not really in favor of it completely. But from what statistics I've seen from this, it is that Witt County has lowered, I talked to some of them from Mount Vernon and stuff, and they said it actually lowered their DUIs and the drunkenness that they had and the accidents they had on the roads. So if it's going to be that much of a benefit, then I guess I would be for it then. Mainly just to save lives and keep people off the road drinking.
Shane.
I'd have to say 100% no, because the main reason there's more important things than money. My children, your children's lives, our people, and listen, the drinking is a problem. In the position I've been in, I've counseled people on alcohol. There has never, ever been one good thing to come from it. And if I was elected judge, I'd have to stand and say no. And just like these guys said, that wouldn't be up to us. That would be brought to a vote, and it would be up to the people, ultimately. And we have to go by what the people decide. The big problem in this nation today is we see it with judicial tyranny. Judges making decisions. This is judge executive. This ain't having to do with them kind of judges, but I cannot in no good clear conscience support it, because there has never ever been one good thing come out of it.
Bob.
Yes, I would support it, and with limitations. And first of all, you have to understand that there is no moist, or it would be a county-wide thing. So we'd have to go through the ATF. There's a whole lot of protocol that we have to go through and look into it. But before I ever brought it to anyone to suggest that it go on a petition, and you're right, that's how it has to go, we would have to look at some demographics, some statistics that prove one way or the other that all of these suppositions are either valid or invalid. I think any new business like that probably has what I call a honeymoon stage, and that is going to bring in some immediate revenue, but it's not the total answer to what we do. It's a partial answer. Thank you.
This question also is directed back to the county judge's office. and it seems an appropriate question to follow up with the one that we just asked. Are you strong enough to make unpopular decisions when those decisions are for the betterment of the citizens of Jackson County? Bob Gabbard.
Yes, emphatically, yes.
Shane.
Yeah, we've had a lot of, everybody faces things in life that's not necessarily what you call comfortable situations, and I've been in several of those. But it's for the betterment of the county and for the people. Not everybody's gonna like it. Not everybody's gonna go along with what you have to say or your ideas. That's part of being a leader. You just gotta face the facts. And what is the best thing for the county is what we have to go by. It's gonna make people mad. But if it makes people mad, you've got to worry about the ones that it's helping. If it's helping the whole county, so be it if people gets mad.
Gene.
Yes, I believe that there would be not much problem there making a decision. The thing is that I want a transparency in the office so everybody knows what's going on and why it's going on and why the decisions are made.
Robert.
Yes. I don't need to say anything else about it. Yeah. I've coached for 25 years. That means that in basketball, there's only probably one person on the court that likes you at any given time. That's the one that's got the ball. The other four's mad because they don't have it. I've lived with that for most of my adult life. I'm also a parent. Anybody in here that's a parent knows you have to make decisions. Sometimes it's not popular in the family. That's part of it. It's time that Jackson County is going to have to grow up, be adult, and do what we have to do. So I can do it. No question.
Ronnie.
I think I've got a big advantage that I'm not obligated to any of the physical court or anyone running on the physical court. I can be my own person. Where I work, I probably work for 12 or 13 school superintendents. They change, school board members change, and things change, politics change. I stayed there where I was at, and after I was leaving, people respected me for this. Well, I think I can face up to these problems, won't be worried about 4 years off. I can do this, and I don't care to take this on. I'm not for covering up some of the problems that are there, and I'm not for taxes to cover up my mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to the PVA office. This question says that property values have dropped 20 to 30% in the last 10 years. Why haven't the taxable values dropped by that much? Paul.
Well, first of all, just from where I'm sitting, I'd have to argue with that. That's actually not the case. They did take a dip here in Jackson County for a couple of years, and they're creeping back up now. The easiest way I can assure people that's the case is the Revenue Cabinet reviews every property transfer in the county in a 12-month period, places again a sales ratio, and they would speak to me as soon as if I was overassessed as they would if I was underassessed. And I assure you that never in my tenure have I run even close to the top side of that equation. And I would ask people in the county to look at the paper at the volume of houses that are selling now, not master commissioner, but actual house sales, and look at the prices on those houses.
Thank you. Rick?
Repeat the question.
The question is, property values have dropped 20 to 30% in the last 10 years. Why haven't the taxable values dropped by that much?
I've wondered the same thing myself. Do a lot of work in Madison County. There are a lot of people bought houses in Madison County when the boom was on, and now they owe way more on their houses than their houses are worth. I've always wondered why when the housing market took a dive, that, the value of property, the assessed value of property didn't go down. I think that's a good question that should be brought to the board, over the PVA board, because I've wondered the same thing, and in my mind, they should have came down, because if you try to sell a piece of property now versus trying to sell one 10 years ago, you will not get as much money out of it. I mean, I know that because I'm in the business where I see it all the time. And I know that to be true, and to me, it should have came down when the housing market went down. I mean, I do believe that.
Okay, thank you. This question is for the magistrates, and Daniel, we'll start on your end again. What kind of job do you currently have, and how will being elected to the office of magistrate affect that job?
I'm actually currently the collections manager for Jackson Energy Electric Company. I've been there 18 and a half years, and I manage every account that we have, and we have 50 plus thousand meters that I'm responsible for all the bills on. So I think that qualifies me to be able to deal with stressful situations and to work with other people in order to do what needs done to get the job done. So, and like I said before, I work with all the county officials and do everything I can to help this county grow. Thank you.
Dale,
Could you repeat that?
the question is, what kind of job do you currently have? And after being elected to the office of magistrate, how will being elected to the office of magistrate affect your current job?
Well, right now I'm magistrate, and everybody knows I pump septic tanks around on the side, but I work at the magistrate's position daily in some form or fashion, and it'd basically be the same if I'm reelected. I work at it daily.
Dan?
Yes. I'm currently employed with WWHU Radio. I am the host of Dial and Deal. You might have heard about that a time or two, some of y'all. Being elected as magistrate will put me in a position where I can't go hide. I can do the magistrate's job. People will know where I am. They'll know how to get a hold of me. And I can still do my Dial and Deal. I plan to return to the air May 21st as, hopefully, new magistrate. Thank you.
William?
I currently opened my own insurance office here in McKee in the old Farm Service building, the Dunsell building, back in December. I think I'm qualified for that. I do my own bookkeeping. I'm responsible for my own overhead charges to try to cut costs with that and trying to keep my business open. Being elected magistrate, I would be right here in McKee every single day. My phone number, my office is in the book, my home number's in the book, my cell phone's on my business cards. I would be readily available for anybody that wanted to talk or had a concern. And hopefully, elected magistrate would afford me the opportunity to hire some help in my insurance office as well and create a couple of jobs for people here in the county.
David?
My understanding of the question was, what is your current job help you in the position you're wanting to get elected for? Is that correct?
I'll read the question again. What kind of job do you currently have? And after being elected to the magistrate's office, how will that election affect that job?
In no way whatsoever. I'd vote all the time I have to magistrate because I think my employer is going to be PVA. You didn't get that, did you? I work for Mr. Isaacs. He's running for PVA. If I get elected magistrate, that will be my job.
He works for me.
Gordon?
What can you say? I am currently the magistrate right now. I work at Richmond at Occupational. I've been there 35 years. I've been doing the magistrate's job for the last year, and this makes 3 months, and it don't affect my job
at work, I've not missed a meeting. I'm at the garage down at Clover Bottom every day to see the guys, see what's going on, what we need to work on, and we go check whatever's needed, and it won't affect my employment or anything in any way.
Keep in mind, I'm just asking the question.
I just don't understand the question.
Bob Gamble,
Yes, sir.
should you be elected, what would be the very first concern that you would address, and how would you correct it?
The very first concern, again, going back to our concern about finances in our county. We have to know where we stand from day one before we can move forward with any surety that we are going in the right direction at all. So that would be my first priority, is to understand that. I would have some financial picture of where we are at that point in time when I took office. Moving forward from that, I would make decisions based upon that would allow me then to manipulate the money that we have in order to keep ourselves current.
Shane?
I believe my very first concern would be to establish a good relationship with the fiscal court, whoever is elected to all 3 districts of magistrates. I'd want to establish a good relationship with the sheriff and his office. I'd want to establish a good relationship with Duck and his office. This is something that has got to be handled, I think, first. I agree with Bob. Our finances are a great concern, but my take on it is a house divided can't stand. If I've got one arm that's trying to reach down here and one arm is trying to reach down here, somebody's got to give somewhere. It just causes pain and trouble if it ain't working together. So my very first concern would be to get everybody together and say, let's do some damage control. We've been a black eye in the state of Kentucky for long enough. Let's show the state of Kentucky that Jackson County's took on a new look. Let's work together with veterans.
Gene?
Well, I pretty much got the same idea as he has, is to establish a connection with all the other entities of the fiscal court, and I also want to get the people involved, so pretty much the same idea on that.
Robert?
Well, to go along with what Bob said, we've got to find out where we stand financially. I'm also concerned about what obligations we have committed ourselves to down the road. We keep hearing them talk about grants and all these different programs that come in. I don't think anyone really knows what's coming down the road. I'd like to know, first of all, like Bob said, we will know from day one how much money we got. Can we pay for what we have to pay for right now? What do we need to do to make sure we've got that? But I also would like to know if there's a big payment coming up in 6 months or a year or whatever. But finances right now, there's no question that the number one issue that we've got is we've got to get this budget under control. We've got to find out where we're at, number one.
Ronnie?
The next day after the election, you didn't ask that question, though, did you? I want to be very thankful that people selected me for judge that first day in office. I would want to call in every committee person, every board that we have in county government, see where they stand, and we have some immediate problems. Now, we talk about priorities. Again, short time priority, we have that medical emergency, and we've not got the health there to do it. Again, I appreciate the people working for the ambulance. I appreciate the county workers as a whole. They're just people working for a living. They need our support when we get there. So we need to look at the budget that has already been prepared by someone else. We'll go in on the second half of the budget, and that there is just a little frightening to me. Thank you.
Bob Gamble? Two-part question. Do you know what the salary of the county judge's office is? And would you continue to seek that office if the salary were only half of what it is?
I know approximately what it is. It's somewhere around $79,000. I would seek it at half that.
Shane?
I didn't decide to run because of the salary. I found out what the salary was when I decided to come out for judge executive. I went to our current judge executive and got him to run me off a copy of the duties of the judge executive. Then I went straight to our county treasurer and got a copy of the budget to see what we was looking at, what we could do. The salary ain't what it's about. That's not why I'm here. I think that we need to take a different direction. Money is the root of all evil. The love of it is. The love of money is the root of all evil, and money's not the picture for me.
Gene?
I've donated probably 10 years, 9 or 10 years to this county, and I would be after this job just as hard if it didn't pay anything. If elected, I intend to give part of it back, I intend to set up an account and try to help pay some of the debt off and try to release some of the burden on the people that's paying the taxes, because I really feel for them, and I've talked to a lot of them. And like I say, I would be after this job if it paid nothing.
Robert?
I'm not sure how much the judge makes. I figure it's in the ballpark of what Bob said. In my situation, I could do that since I'm retired and I have a retired teacher's salary. And I think everything they've said at this point is appropriate. From what I have seen though, and what I've heard, it's probably worth every penny that they're paying them. I don't see a long line of people that want to do it. So I think that whoever gets it is going to earn that money if they choose to keep it. But I suppose if people wanted me to give part of it back or whatever, if my wife said I could do it, I'd probably do it.
There's an honest man, guys. Ronnie Hall.
Most of us, we usually don't refuse money. And I've worked for a lot less, and I'm sure people here have. And what I talk to people, that's not always the issue. It's what kind of job that person is doing. Is the person worth that for the county? But would I do it for half that? This time I probably would, seeing the problems that we have. And I've got into the thing wanting to help, and I would like to see if my child or your child would go into a surrounding county and they would not be making jokes about Jackson County. That'd be worth a lot to me, maybe more than money.
Thank you. Gordon, we're going to start with you on this question. Why do some county roads get maintenance while others don't?
Concerning my district, we try to do every road. We got a lot of gravel roads in our district. It's a continuing process. You can work today, tomorrow, spend money on gravel. It comes a big rain day after tomorrow, washes everything that you've just done out. But this past winter has been a terrible winter on our roads down there. That's on our equipment and everything. But we work every road. And anytime anybody calls or needs anything, cemetery roads, we try to do everything we can do with the limited resources and people that we've got. I've got 3 guys, and it stretches them very thin to try to keep up with all the roads and the weather on our end, for my part. Thank you.
David?
Repeat the question, please.
The question is, why do some county roads get maintenance while others don't?
Well, I've never been in the position, of course. Of course, you could probably answer that better than I could, but from a general understanding of where I live, depends on how you vote.
Anybody disagree with that?
William,
Probably the biggest part of it is due to probably road traffic, you know, the more a road is traveled, the worse shape it's gonna get in, so probably those roads are more of a priority. County road, it maybe only has 1 or 2 homes that live on it, you know, it just makes common sense, you know, for people that drive out that way, but, I won't echo David's comment there as far as where you live or something, but that probably plays a little bit part of it as well.
Dan.
I think probably lack of funding sometimes will create that. Traffic flow on that road may determine whether or not it gets maintained. I'm a firm believer that if a road is worth blacktopping, it's worth maintaining. I've talked to some people in a few areas of District 2 who refer to themselves as the forgotten people. It's easy to see. You don't have to take my word for it. Take a drive down in Buckham. Go in Malden area. Go down Leisure Fork. Go up Smith Road. Take a look at those roads. Why? I've never been there, so I can't really say what goes on behind the scenes. But I think if a road is worth building, it's worth repairing and maintaining. Thank you.
Dale.
Well, I don't know where Dan's been, but 2 or 3 of those roads he's mentioned got new blacktop on them, but he must have been lost. But all roads in my district has been maintained. A lot of problems you get into, people thinks they're county roads, and you can find out they're not. And, you know, maybe that's the reason that question come about. But there's nobody that can honestly say that their road has not been maintained under my watch, because it has been. And funding is a thing. Blacktop's costing about $80,000 a mile right now, and we have enough to lay about 3 miles a year. I have 200 mile in my district alone, so you can sort of do the math on that. And approach tiles is a big thing. A lot of people won't buy approach tiles, they just push the dirt into the ditch line. They can't afford it, the county can't afford to buy or buy a tile. And that's a big deal.
Daniel.
Well, we do have some roads in District 1 that have been neglected, I believe, because I've been on some of them. And as far as why they're not being maintained, I'm not the one that can answer that. But I think all county roads within your district should be maintained, especially before private drives are maintained. We've got to quit this private work and get back to taking care of the county roads like we're supposed to. Thank you.
We've got time for one last question, and it is directed towards the Office of County Judge. Bob, will you seek to repeal the occupational tax?
Boy, that's a loaded question. What I would do is, as I said earlier, the finances that we have to work with is going to be key to what anything is done or what happens with any repeal or anything. If at the moment that I see that we do not need that tax, I would absolutely ask for a repeal of it.
Shane.
I agree with Bob. If we saw that we didn't need that tax, and there's no use of taxing people for what you don't need. Now, if we can get more forms of revenue into our county, get it more economically balanced, then there's a possibility. Now, this is not a promise. This is a possibility. A lot of times we'll speak something, and I've learned this by experience. Don't ever tell somebody you're going to do something if you can't come through with what you're going to do. I've learned that by experience, because that will cause people to lose confidence in you. If we could get more revenue into our county by tourism, by the trail town, by more jobs, if there's more people in the county that's paying occupational tax, then you could possibly in time lower that tax to make it easier on the whole working base. So I would seek to repeal it if it is possible, but we would have to make sure that it didn't put us in a hole to where we'd have to create some other kind of meds to make up for that.
Gene?
Yes, by all means, I would make every effort to repeal that tax. Many of the constituents I've talked to have raised that very same question, and I told them I would do everything in my power to repeal that tax.
Robert Lakes?
The budget that we saw, the audit that we saw was for the year 2012. It doesn't reflect what has happened since the occupational tax came on. Can't get a straight answer as to where we're at right now. I agree with everything they've said. If we take it off, we should take it off. But what we're dealing with here is what's called the economic problem. We have unlimited wants and limited resources. We can't blacktop everybody's road. We can't do all the things that we've just heard some of the questions about and not have money to do it with. And if we're already skimping by with just what we've got right now, anyone that's going to sit there and make a statement that they're going to do away with something right now before they open up the books and look at it, they may be in for a big shock. If there's any way possible, take that tax off, because I think it's unfair, especially if you're working in the city of McKee. You're getting even more. So, yeah, by all means, I'm for lowering that if it's possible. But what Bob said and everyone else has said, we can't answer that until we get in there.
Ronnie?
Just being practical about it, you know, we've got to know when we get in there what we're up against. We can't let the county go bankrupt, and that's an easy question for any tax we don't need. That's an easy question for me, not have that tax. But, you know, if people look at their tax bill and count the percents and convert that to working days, you know, a couple in Jackson County, it might be surprising how many days a year that they're working for some of these things. Now, just to say 1% doesn't sound bad, but you add on another percent or so, and you convert that into maybe a person working 240 days a year, it's how many days a year that couple is working for this kind of thing. Yes, it seems that part of these taxes were put on to cover up mistakes. Maybe we can do without some of them.
Thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate the answers.
That brings us to the end of tonight's forum. The Development Association hopes that you are better informed to make a decision on Election Day because of what you have heard here tonight. It is your obligation as a citizen to vote, and we encourage you to do so. We also invite you to be a part of the Development Association as we meet the last Wednesday of each month at the County Extension Office at 10 a.m. Again, thank you to all who have had a part in tonight's forum. Good night from the old McKee Courthouse.